Oh, Dozier kid. The little mid-range.
He hit that last night.
He was in his shot last night. Underrated aspect nobody really talks about with PJ, the chops. Nobody talks about the chops.
That's because I don't know about underrated. They might be properly rated.
Properly rated chops. What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Composure Lounge. You guys know me, man. I'm a PJ Dozier. I might be the biggest PJ Dozier fan in the world. It's possible that's the case as I talk to people, man.
Physically? PJ Dozier's probably ahead of you.
Physically, a PJ Dozier.
You, Michael Malone, and PJ Dozier.
Hey, man, me and Michael Malone.
Fans.
It's so true, man. I'm really, really big on him. I'm excited for the season, but let's first look back at last season. What were his stats like last year? Here they are. Who wants to say? I'll start with you today. What stands out here?
Oh, you guys know what I like to do with these. Let's take a look in that far right column. 3-point percentage, 31.5. But here's the thing. That actually is, I think, the most relevant stat to look at for PJ because I think he's going to need that number to be closer to 37. I mean, that to call it like a great season. I think there are some feel for the game, when do I call my own number, sort of tempo questions with PJ. But for the most part, I think if his shot looks good and he's hitting the threes, he's going to look good more often than not. The defense is there, the rebounding's there, the effort is there. So that's where I'm looking.
Harrison?
Yeah. Pretty low field goal percentage, for a guard. Like we were talking about with Facu. 41.5%. Pretty low, if you're a rotation guard. So he's got to bring that up. The 3-point percentage is part of that as well.
For sure.
But PJ has so many intangibles that don't show up in that little stat graphic right there.
Right.
The defense, the playmaking, his ability in transition. He's also a guy just does a lot of things that don't show up in the box score too.
Yeah, dude. Where's the line for composure? How do we?
Oh wow, what is his composure rating?
His 38.7.
Wow, that's really impressive.
On the composure scale?
Yeah, the composure scale.
What does it go to? 40?
It's actually
only Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain.
It's the highest by an off-the-bench players in the modern era.
It is the highest CPR of all.
CPR.
He's a great player. I love that PJ Dozier. We jokingly gave him that nickname because when he once when he delivered a speech, it wasn't even based on this game.
It wasn't even a speech, man. A speech is generous.
Well,
he came in and played
the microphone.
He played very well,
okay.
and then he was
He was
great.
very composed on the microphone, and he seems like a guy that has a slower heart rate. Like he just doesn't get rattled. Like he gets.
Is this like a medical thing? Or
I don't know. He at least acts as.
What do you think about JaVale McGee's asthma?
JaVale McGee's asthma limited him as a Nugget. I don't think we have to relitigate that. But I just like what PJ brings. The one thing is I want to see from PJ is for him to be, I think what we're saying here, like a more viable option in the offense. Like for him to be a Will Barton stand-in should the situation call for it, because he's got the length. He's got so much of what it is that you want out of a role player. It's just like you want just more and more, especially if you're talking about like if he's going to ever step in and play alongside Nikola Jokic, you want to be able to knock those shots down, help stretch out the court, and help to facilitate others. So I think we all see a lot of promise and a very high ceiling for Mr. PJ, but we just got to, he's got to stay healthy and he's got to just show us what he can do.
Yeah, I look at the minutes per game. I think it was 21.7, 21.8, somewhere in there. And what's interesting to me about that is he's at a point now where I feel like he could pivot one way or the other. He plays so many different positions, and Denver doesn't have a backup small forward. Michael Porter also can play power forward, so maybe he goes there. Are there more minutes available to him this year just because he can play so many different positions? That's one of the things I kind of wonder about him. And we know that Michael Malone has talked about health and safety for him. Like, I want to make sure he makes it through the whole thing. So maybe not. Maybe they do look at him as a 22-minute per game guy. But I'm just curious to see if those numbers go up, down, or stay the same, because I have a hunch that they're going to go up. One of the reasons for that, let's go to a shocking stat, guys. You guys want a shocking stat? Let's see who gets electrocuted this time. Oh, shock me again. Dang it, I'm getting electrocuted. This is so tough. Bad. Guys, check out the shocking stat. Jokic Dozier lineups had a 106.3 defensive rating. That was the best two-man pairing alongside Nikola Jokic. But wait, there's more. And I didn't give this the kill. This is just the thing. The number one defensive rating was Greg Whittington, who played 28 minutes, or 4 minutes actually. Maybe 4 minutes. We
were right.
Isaiah Hartenstein also high up there. But then PJ Dozier, 102.5. So of the guys who played at real minutes.
Yeah.
Dozier, head and shoulders above. When he was on the court, a 102.5 defensive rating. The next closest of guys that actually played minutes was Jermichael Green at 107.6. So 5 points per 100 possessions. He was a huge outlier defensively. When he was on the court, the Nuggets defense was phenomenal.
If you remember that Nuggets bench unit, I really felt like during the part of the season when they found their identity,
right,
it was defense.
Yes.
Paul Millsap, Jermichael Green, PJ Dozier, Facu. Like, that was a great defensive unit. But also PJ Dozier, in my opinion, he's like the guy defensively that if the Nuggets are going to go up against a Lillard, PJ Dozier, that's the assignment for him. He's in my mind Denver's best regular season 82 game perimeter defender.
Yeah.
If you guys want to know a crazy stat along these lines, he had the Nuggets had the 10th best offensive rating. Or I should say he had the 10th best offensive rating when he was on the court last year, but the number 1 overall net rating. That's how dominant the Denver defense was when he was on. And the reason I made the shocking stat with Jokic is because, when I first looked at that, I was like, well, the bench unit was good, this or that. But it wasn't. He was great with the bench. I mean, they were insane defensively. But even when he was with Jokic and presumably other starters, also defensively they were great.
Actually, I didn't know it off the top of my head. I'm actually respectfully not super shocked by that stat because he is the
That's so disrespectful.
Let's go to our next segment.
Yeah, F it. Let's just move on. Because like Wynn said, I don't know, he's the best perimeter defender on the team, and probably point of attack defender as well. I mean, Aaron Gordon, depending on the matchup, but to just sort of put that in front of Jokic, which is something Jamal's made a lot of improvements, but it's not. I mean, it's not like they've had great perimeter defense in the Jokic era. So this is why we talk about PJ Dozier this way. This is why he's such a wild card. Everyone has him circled this season. We're talking about a team that needs to get a little better defensively. The best way to visualize that internally is a leap from PJ Dozier.
Mm-hmm. This is why I wonder about the best Denver lineups. Like, it's tough because Murray's not here, and Murray changes everything. Sure. Murray, Porter, Jokic. I'm just like, you don't need anything else. You can have 2 chairs out there, and you're going to have a top 5 offense. That's just my belief. But if you put Aaron Gordon, elite defensive player who's not a 0 on offense, he can do some things, and PJ Dozier, elite defensive player who again can do some things, I just think maybe that's the formula. Maybe those are the 2 others that fit in most nicely alongside those guys. And when you see numbers like that through the course of an entire season, I just look at that and I go, is he the best defensive guard that Jokic has played with, at least in terms of versatility and length and all that stuff? Right. Might be. Let's play a little What Are the Odds, guys. What are the odds?
By odds, we mean?
Percentages.
What are the percentages?
There it is.
We don't know how odds work.
What are the odds that PJ Dozier gets traded?
Oh, that's a fun one.
This is the final year of his contract, guys.
Right.
The final year of his contract. Denver has committed a lot of money going forward. Luxury tax season is when you think about going forward, Dozier is the type of player that probably gets pinched because you're like, we have our core guys. Sure. Everyone else is interchangeable. But what are the odds that they look at that and go, we can't let him walk, lose for nothing? Let's move him into
So are we now that we work with DraftKings and bet every day, should we actually treat odds as they are?
Supposed to bring this up, Eric.
Plus 500, minus 200. Those are the odds, right? No? Okay. Percentage?
Yeah.
The percentage that he gets traded is 15% tops.
Oh, you think it's low? Really low.
Very low.
But, does that mean you have confidence that he's on the Nuggets next year?
I think that PJ Dozier is somebody that Tim Connolly is proud to have found. I think he's like a guy that they got off of the scrap heap, and he's like...
They'll find the next one next year.
Well, no, not that they I think they want to hold on to him. I think that, Tim Connolly is proud of finding him. I think that he's a guy that he wants to make a
got
deal.
PJ Dozier.
Yeah. Are you proud of me? Yeah. You know what I mean? To me, he's like a Torrey Craig, a Greg Whittington. He's just like a guy that, he wants to make it work. And it just feels like we are in natural, he's in line for minutes now. It just seems like now is his time. And if he plays to the level that we all expect, why wouldn't you keep a guy like that? He makes $1 million a year or something. He makes such a small.
But he might make more next year. That's what I'm saying.
He's got a 3-year deal.
What's that?
Isn't this the second year of his 3-year deal?
No, that's the final year, I believe.
He's going to be a
contract.
free
Yeah.
agent this next summer.
Right.
And you got Monte locked up long term, you know? So.
I mean, if you look at his situation, yeah, you can say that. And I agree. This can be his breakout season for sure. But if you think back to the trade the Nuggets made at the deadline a couple years ago when they traded Malik Beasley and Juancho and Gomez, the writing was on the wall that those guys were not going to be re-signed here. And it was, looking back on it, the right financial move to make at the time, probably if you're looking at this team long term, to trade those guys at that point. Also, the other part of that was, in that year, I don't think the Nuggets really fashioned themselves as a championship contender.
Great point.
This year, they do. And if they're going to win a championship, PJ Dozier would be a big piece of that. So that's going to be the two factors they're weighing. Like, yes, we will have to pay this guy next summer if we want to keep him. We're going to be in the luxury tax. Can we do that? Also, we are trying to win a championship, and he could help us do that this year.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. What are the chances that Dozier plays himself into some questionable financial bracket pre-trade deadline? I don't know how much he's going to get. So maybe this actually, he ends up falling into one of those ideal kind of guys where you're looking at luxury tax. It's hard to balance. You want someone competitive, but you want someone affordable. There's a chance that Dozier's lack of playing time until now plays into the Nuggets being able to retain him.
Right.
I don't think they trade him. I think they're going to need him. And also, it's time to play everyone's favorite game. If PJ Dozier's not on the team, who's that backup small forward? Which we've been playing for 3 years.
Greg Whittington.
Look,
It's Greg Whittington.
we all love PJ Dozier. I think he's a pretty unique player, good defender, good instincts in the pick and roll. I think Denver could find another PJ Dozier.
Definitely. Specifically Tim Connolly could find another PJ Dozier. But I do think
he's not like this ultra rare can't miss guy. There are other PJ.
He is to me. Damn it. This is the thing is I really like him.
I really like him too, but there is another PJ Dozier out there.
We are
There just
bleeding.
is.
We are bleeding into our mailbag question a little bit.
Okay, all right.
All right.
So what are the odds that he closes more games than not?
Oh, those odds are so
Wait,
something.
I don't even understand.
Closing,
I don't even understand that.
I'm saying that he is one of the closing five, not
that
more games than not. Meaning, by the end of the season or halfway through the season, it's Dozier closes. He's one of the 5 closers.
Plus 500. Or I mean,
I'll say 40%.
That's super high.
I think he's going
Who's
to be
out?
out there.
Barton,
Monte.
Oh.
I think he's going to be out there a lot to close games, man. His perimeter defense is something that the Nuggets are going to want out there late in games.
And it could be Monte, especially if, we've sort of talked about the possibility of maybe you see a lot more Will Barton late in games as that sort of primary ball handler, pick and roll partner with Jokic, I
Right.
should say. And so where does that leave Monte and that point guard position? Maybe there's more value to be extracted from PJ in those scenarios.
yeah, I could see a world where we honestly have Austin Rivers and PJ Dozier lining up to close games.
Oh, this is
Dude,
wild to me.
your Austin Rivers corner is on
What does
fire.
that world look like? Is it up down?
Up
Will
is not
Barton
down.
Water's dry.
Yeah.
Well, if you're talking about guys that can defend on the perimeter
That's true.
and can
Good point.
knock down
Austin
shots.
Rivers had a nice steal. in the
If we're
preseason.
talking about we're getting it down, it's getting down to brass tacks, as they say, and do we want Monte to be able to facilitate the offense, or we could just give it to Jokic and then have 2 perimeter defenders? To me, that's pretty tantalizing.
Yeah, so tantalizing. I love when you use that word.
Your vocab is underrated.
The last
Oh,
one I
thanks,
have,
bro.
instead of doing the last what are the odds here, I'm just going to go to the big question, which I forgot.
because we've mocked your segment enough.
Because also because I was supposed to do
Big
this
question.
first. Usually,
How
big
do
questions
odds
are
work?
first segment. Does he have a breakout season in him? Now, when we say breakout, here's what's interesting about this question. Breakout doesn't mean he was a little bit better than last year. Breakout implies you made a leap. That was a leap of a year. I'll go first on this one, guys. I'm predicting it. I really, really believe he has it in him. I don't know that the number, you talked about the 3-point percentage. I bet he shoots 33% from 3 this year. Not great numbers. But I do think that the numbers bear out. Harrison, you had that phenomenal stat in your column a month ago. 12-1. Was that what was the Nuggets record when
Yeah.
he played 25 minutes?
It was
a month?
11-1 or
11-1, 12-1,
or
something like that. I'm not so sure that's a coincidence. Because,
Yeah.
again, I do think if you just give a little bit of defense around Yoke and MPJ, you win games, and that's what's going to happen this year.
Yeah. I think he can have a breakout season. I think back to Will Barton's breakout season, his first real season in Denver. He averaged 24 minutes a game, 11 points. Before that, Barton was an under 20-minute per game guy, didn't crack 10 points per game. Can PJ average 24 minutes a game this year? Maybe. So I think he could score double digits, and that would probably qualify as like a breakout year for him, and factoring in everything he does defensively too.
Yeah, I agree with I think for PJ it just comes down to having the opportunity, staying on the court, staying healthy.
Health is a big part of it.
Yeah, and it's like I'm with you. Like what a breakout year looks like for PJ Dozier is probably, you're right, like 14 points a game, somewhere in there, like nothing crazy, but just being like a reliable piece of the Nuggets rotation.
That is doubling his points per game.
Yeah, and which to me is that would be. I mean, obviously
Certainly
that's a huge step up, but I think
Peter Cornelius.
Peter Cornelius. But to me, it's like the thing that has held him back is just playing time, and so if he's able to do what we think he's able to do from a health and availability standpoint, like look out, Adam might be right.
My one thing with breakout is just there are so many weapons on this team, and we're going to spend a lot of time in the coming weeks talking
Nuggets
about
good.
If Bones is one of those weapons, how he plays into the rotation.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty good about PJ Dozier growing into the player the Nuggets need him to be, and Nuggets fans hope he is. But I'll stop short of saying breakout, because I just don't know if it would look that way. I think him playing well is defense, rebounding, and he shot.
If there was one less of Monte, Will, Bones,
Sure.
Facu, if there was one less of those guys, a breakout for PJ Dozier would be 100% certainty.
Yeah.
Like the table would be set, the role would be there. It's still a little crowded, though. Just a little crowded.
Yeah.
Let's move on to bold prediction then, because along those lines, I agree with you, Harrison. There are a lot of guards. Kale, you're going to hate me for this. I just changed mine on the fly, so you can play the card and then just add it in post. But
Me too.
I just changed mine on the fly here. I have a bold prediction. I agree, Harrison. There are too many guards on the roster right now, but I don't know if there will be after the deadline. I think PJ Dozier. This is a crazy one. I think PJ Dozier is part of the core of guards they're going to keep together alongside Bones Highland, alongside Jamal Murray. Will Barton obviously has another year. Somebody else I think gets moved because they're like, you know what? Dozier going forward is our guy, and he makes a lot of sense. So that's my
Did you just
prediction.
trade Facu on me?
I'm not saying it's Facu. I'm not saying it's Rivers. I'm not saying it's Monte. I'm not saying it's all of those guys for salary cap clearance so that we could, you bring back Dozier. I mean, it makes sense if you lost, like, just for example, say you lost a Monte, to trade, and you got back just a pick, like a late first or something like that. So you don't take on new salary, but it allows you to like bring back Dozier next year on what Monte's salary would have been. That might be a move that makes sense.
That would
clears the way for Bones, clears the way for Dozier.
Yeah.
Man,
Clearing out Mr. Nugget for Dozier.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm saying I could. That's my bold prediction.
Dozier
Get the runway
Dozier
cleared.
kid. Wind. Why don't we go to your bold prediction?
This is a very optimistic, bold prediction.
Hell yeah.
I think PJ Dozier starts at least 15 games this year.
Oh, that's not bold. That's weak sauce.
He started 6 games last year.
That's thin fought. What's a thin fought, Eric?
Compressed. They're called thin.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, anyways. I think he starts 15 games or more. My thinking there, this is going to be a breakout year for him. I believe that. Also, I don't think Will Barton's going to play in 82 games. I think Denver wants to manage his minutes throughout the year. Maybe the same with Michael Porter to an extent. Maybe Dozier gets some run at the one as well. Of
course. This is why I don't think it's bold. 15 games. One, he might just start that because he outplays somebody and they gets that. But then also, if MPJ's hurt, who starts?
The greatest.
Dozier.
Well, Adam, you're not thinking about the biggest question with Dozier which is can he stay healthy? Which is the reason he hasn't started 15 games in the year before.
The hallmark of these,
a good clap
the
back.
hallmark of these series and really the show in general is people stating a bold prediction that's being shouted down by Adam.
Dude, it's always
All right, who's up next? Eric, what bold take do you have to be?
Well, the worst part is that
down?
I wish you would have come to me first. I said he plays in the starting unit for a big stretch, which
I love
is
how
way
vague
more
it is.
vague. Harrison actually had
king of the vague
prediction.
Hey, my bold
Harrison
take.
actually had the audacity to put an actual number up, but I can't really be wrong with this unless he doesn't play the
that's
starting
you.
unit.
My
dude.
bold take is that there's things that happen and they're,
We sometimes
My bold take is that everybody has fun to an extent.
everybody has fun.
I just
to an
hope both
extent.
teams play hard.
Vote. Are you more bold than that take?
Yeah, my take is too bold. But
Because
someone
you
needs,
don't really believe it. I'm reading it. You
Yeah,
don't believe this.
Not at all, but someone needs to do this. 38% 8% from 3.
I just love that the takes are always the 3-pointer. I can't wait till I want to see the first stat. What's the takeaway that's not the 3-point?
You know what we need at the trade deadline? More shooting.
You gotta go to me on the players who don't have question marks about their 3-point shooting.
Dude, I'm loving logo vote over here.
Big market. Big market.
All right, guys, that's PJ Dozier. My guy, PJ Dozier, who I am predicting the Nuggets will clear
fine.
the way.
You can have
roll out the red carpet for the future
let's
of
divvy this right
composure.
now. You get PJ Dozier, I get Bones Highland.
Damn
you
it.
Get you get Zeke Naji, I get Nikola Jokic.
Damn it. It's really tough here. I got Peter Cordelli, too. Who are you taking, Murray?
Flacco.
Damn it. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. Members only. Coming up next, we've got Wind Chimes. We got a mailbag. We're going to be doing those, answering your questions for PJ Dozier. So become a member. $5. You go to thednvr.com. You sign up. You get a free T-shirt. You get all kinds of other benefits and discounts, including access to our premium content, which is what's coming up next. We'll see members on the other side.